I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman's time expired. Ms. Sewell, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, gentlemen, I think that there's no doubt that Russia tried to use your platforms to weaponize and meddle in our elections. I think that it has risen to the level of a national security issue. And therefore, while you're self-policing yourself, and that's great, I really do believe that we have an obligation to the American people to do more than just that. My line of questioning is really to Facebook. I understand that there are paid ads, political ads, as well as what you guys call organic postings that are not paid for. An example of a paid ad would be the one here from a Facebook page called Being Patriotic, which urges those that follow it to go to a rally. It was a made-up rally, wasn't really a rally. I want to understand, because my constituents, the people I talk to in my town hall meetings can't understand how you go about vetting both your content and the person who is your user. Comes to find out, Being Patriotic is one of those troll farms that's Russian. And it was paid for, the political ad was paid for by rubles. Isn't that a red flag? How could that happen? How do you vet your content, and how do you vet your users?
You've identified two extremely important areas of investment for us and opportunities for us to do better. So first, on the ad side, we are tightening our policies. All ads on Facebook go through a combination of automated and manual review. And we're tightening our tools to make sure that ads that are on potentially socially divisive topics get heightened review. And we are...
I only have a short period of time. And so I want to know, who are your vetters? Is it content analysts? And if so, who are these people? Are they experts? Are they average Joes? And how diverse are these vetters? The reason I ask is because if you look at sort of your organic postings, an example of that is Blacktivists, also turns out to be a fake Facebook page done by one of those Russian troll farms, and that is trying to incite racial animosity. And so my point is this, sir. With all due respect, I know that you all are good corporate citizens and you consider yourself to be such, but I think that it is paramount to our national security that we have a more transparency and more accountability on all of your platforms. I know I'm talking to Facebook, but do know that I am really broadly talking to everyone. And I want to know, what you see as your responsibility to make sure that you are actually vetting the content. And we know that you have you're walking a fine line because of free speech, and that is a paramount foundation of our democracy. So who are your vetters, and are they a diverse group of people?
Our vetters, the people who work on ad review, they are around the globe. So we have a number of languages and regions, of course, that we cover, and so we have people around the globe. Like every aspect of our workforce, we are committed to building a workforce that is as diverse as the community we serve.
Now, with all due respect, I have to stop you there. I sit on, I'm a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, and I know that just last week, during our work period, several of my colleagues went to Facebook to meet with your executives to talk about your diversity initiatives. And I don't know if you know exactly how many racially diverse workforce that you have, what the percentage is, but I can tell you if you don't know. It's very low. The reality is that Facebook's overall racial ethnicity with respect to blacks employees workforce-wide is 8.8%. With respect to your leadership, it's 2.3%. And you're saying that I should trust that your vetters that are going to be vetting this kind of information will be a diverse workforce.
Congressman, I appreciate the feedback, and we valued the input from the meetings last week. It is what you should be confident of is that we understand the importance of diversity, and we are committed
With all due respect, I have 9 seconds. And what I want to say is this. I submit to you that your efforts have to be more than just about finding malicious and deceptive activity, that you have a responsibility, all of you have a responsibility to make sure that we are not adding to the problem by not being as rigorous and as aggressive as we can in terms of vetting the content and in terms of making sure that we are being really dynamic in doing that. And I also want to just say that I think it's ridiculous that a foreign entity can buy a political ad with rubles but can't give a political contribution to me. A Russian person can't give me a political contribution. There seems to be some legislation that needs to be had here, is all I'm saying. Thank you, sir, and I realize
Time has expired. Mr. Turner, 5 minutes.
Thank you, gentlemen. There have been controversies before about content on each of your platforms, from Democrat Anthony Weiner on Twitter to issues on Facebook of ISIS and terrorism, recruitment and radicalization, to concerns with Google and biases of search engines. There's a concern about algorithms and data and misrepresentation of material, how individuals are targeted. And that really is my question that I have to you, because the last questioner just made an excellent point. It's not just the postings that occurred, because you talk of yourselves as being communications vehicles, but many times you're not looked at as neutral communications vehicles. It's not just content and users, the postings, it's also ads. Your organizations were paid in order to be able to post these ads, and that's where my question goes, is that because you're not viewed as a neutral communication vehicle, when someone posts an ad, your algorithms, your targeting, your activities, your insertion of your manner in which you access those who are accessing your content also influences the process. So what did you do when you received these payments for these ads? I was just in Montenegro last year where they were having a vote with respect to NATO, and there was a billboard that was on a main highway. And as I went by with the group that I was with, they pointed at the billboard and they said, that's a Russian ad against NATO. Everybody knew it was a Russian ad against NATO, and it was blindly placed on a billboard. But you go further than just putting it on a highway. You look also to users and their individual interests in order to make certain that they see targeted content. So tell us, once you got the payments for these specific ads, and we'll start with you concerning Twitter, what was the activities that Twitter does with the monies it received with respect to these Russian ads in their attempts to influence? How did you didn't just post it on a highway. What did your company do with respect to the content of this ad and its direction? And I'd like each of you to tell us if you did and what you did with respect to farming this out to your members.
So the Russia Today ads, for example, when they were paid for and we were approaching them as a news organization, they had a number of options to promote content on our platform, but they largely used what we call a promoted tweet. So they take a tweet of a news story and they promote it so that it is seen by users who don't follow them and potentially want to drive viewership to their own platform, or then have them follow back. They can target those ads based on geography. We saw very general targeting from Russia Today. It was U.S. Citizens who follow other media or news organizations, with the exception of two of their Spanish language accounts, or one of their Spanish language accounts that they were targeting in California and Florida. But they do have those targeting capabilities.
And you assist them in that process. As they're coming to you as a customer, you're assisting them in that process to identify where that is going to go. We
show them the tools available, and we say, here are your options. Here's how to use the dashboard. Here's how to put out your tweets. So we educate them to understand the platform.
And you have the documentation as to how they were directed on these particular ads that you were paid for that we have a concern about.
We do have some documentation around how we were selling to them the ads product.
Stretch.
Congressman, all of the ads that we've disclosed to the committee and that we're concerned with were purchased via our self-serve ad platform, so there was no human interaction with any of the advertisers. The ads that were served, like all ads, go through automated and manual review, it's in looking at those that we've identified areas for improvement in terms of tightening our ad content guidelines.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Stretch. I mean, my understanding is that according to the numbers we have, it's somewhere around $100,000. That isn't by an ad across all of Facebook. So for your process, and I didn't say it was with an individual, but with your process, there is a targeting or a selection that occurs. Everybody didn't see these ads. How did Facebook, once receiving these payments, take this content and determine who was and who was not to see it?
The self-serve ad platform permits an advertiser to select targeting age, for example, age ranges or geography or interests. And these were primarily targeted to the U.S. A small subset of them were targeted to individual states, and then they were targeted at interests. Once those targeting decisions were made, then Facebook, we look at our users and try to serve the information to users who have demonstrated the interests that have been selected by the advertiser.
And if you're not, I'd appreciate if you'd give that information to the committee, and we've not heard yet from Google, Mr. Chairman, if they might. Yeah.
Jim's time has expired.